episode 25 of the Secret Caliber podcast. Once again, my name is Mo. With me, I have Corey.
Yep.
And I've got Derek.
Howdy, folks.
How's it going, guys? Derek is not a question block this week.
It's a gorgeous face.
So I have had a ridiculous day today.
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned a couple episodes ago, we got a new client and they pretty much doubled our influx of samples. We usually get them in at 9, 10 o'clock, and then I get in, we do all the testing, get them prepared, and everyone has a good time. Well, today, they didn't come until noon. And they sent us 602 samples, which is a record. They usually send us between 400 and 500. So not only did they come in late, they sent us a record amount of samples. So I'm freaking out trying to get all these instruments up and running and get them uncapped and ready and everything. So I get everything on and I'm calmed down. I'm like, all right, they're going to be late, but whatever, I did what I could do. So the printer is beeping at me saying, hey, I need toner. I'm low on toner. You have like 4 pages left before I don't print anymore. I'm like, oh crap, I should change this toner. So I get my boss and we take out the old one, put in the new one. Everything's good, right? And then the printer doesn't work. It refuses to print. And it won't load the paper. It won't do anything a printer is supposed to do. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of important because when the tests get done, they print off and I have to record the results and shit. So I need this piece of paper or the mountains of paper that should be flowing out of this printer, right? And so we spent 6 hours trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with this printer. We have all this multiple thousands of dollars of equipment of science that work, but this one fucking printer has bested all of us and we can't figure out why it's not working.
I had this conversation with my friend like 3 days ago. Why are printers 1,000% more complicated than any other type of equipment? Like, there isn't anything in the world that's more complicated than a printer.
Right.
They are so finicky, so bitchy, so much can go wrong. No good reason for it.
So we spent 6 or 7 hours trying to reconfigure the computer. Can we do this, that, and the other? And so eventually we were like, well, fuck it. So we put the old cartridge in. The old cartridge still prints, and the only reason why I took it out was because it was like, I'm going to run out of ink, you motherfucker. You better change me. But apparently it, like, lied. It can do another 100 pieces of paper. It's like, well, if you'd have told me that, then I wouldn't have changed it. We would be in this predicament of, like, not having results on time. So, like, as they were putting the toner back in and changing it, I was like, it's time for me to go. I'm sorry that I caused you so much strife. Good luck on your endeavors. And I left.
It's like one of the things you would never see happen in an action movie, like, we need the results so we can stop the epidemic! And then it's like,
Sorry, guys.
The printer stopped working. We don't know the results. I mean, we did the work. We have the most brilliant scientific minds in the universe on this, but we can't fix the printer.
Yeah, don't know what's going on. Sorry, gotta call IT.
Pretty good, actually, how the world's gonna end. Not with a whimper, but with a printer with a low toner light.
So what have you guys been up to?
Well, aside from working a whole bunch, I'm going to be going to EVO, so...
That's
If you don't know what EVO is, it's the biggest fighting game championship in the year, and it takes place in Vegas, and for the past couple of years they've had Melee, so of course I go to it. That's coming up, so I've been practicing a lot for that, had people over playing games, but aside from that I've been playing, of course, more Enter the Gungeon, got a little bit further, got story points done, and I keep getting like a little bit closer to beating it. Like I get to the final level, which is aptly called Bullet Hell. It's a place where the whole way through the game you're fighting bullet-themed enemies. Like one of the bosses is the Ammoconda and stuff like that. All the little enemies that you fight are basically anthropomorphized bullets and cannonballs and stuff like that.
Right.
So in Hell, you have zombie bullet casings and like pitchfork wielding 45 calibers and stuff like that. So get to Bullet Hell, then I die. All right. Play another run through, and then I get to the final boss and I die. And then I beat the final boss. LOL, I didn't. because he's got multiple forms. So I beat him, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do the finishing cutscene. Then a hand grabs you and pulls you down. And I'm like, oh, stage 2. All right. And then I instantly die. And then I get back there, and I get a little bit further, get him down to almost his last bit of health, and then I catch on fire and don't realize it. Because when you catch on fire, you get like a little fill-up meter, and when it fills up, you take damage.
Right.
So I'm like looking at him, and I don't see the little meter filling up on my person, and I catch on fire and die, and I'm like, I didn't get hit by a bullet, what hit me? And then when it shows on the screen what you died to, it was like, fire. You died in a fire. I'm like, oh, I'm dumb. So, soon, hopefully, I'll beat it, but I get the feeling there's multiple stages, so there's probably a third stage after that. I'm not gonna get past, but whatever. Soon I should have it beat, and then I'll get to put it away, except I know there's got to be unlockable characters.
Yeah. What about you, Derek?
Other than my job, which my last day of work, my most recent day of work on Monday. Yeah, Monday. That's the one. My schedule's so fucking weird. I work 3/12s. I work Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It's tough. My job is boring though. I pick things up and put them down in a warehouse. Monday. For those of you in the States, I don't know if we have international listeners. If not, you rock in whatever moonspeak you speak. Yeah, it was 4th of July Monday, and so pretty much half the guys in the apartment called out because they didn't want to come in. And we had a lot of things to pick up and put down, so I picked up and put down many things and was very tired. But my first paycheck from Jorb came just in time for the end of Steam Summer Sale.
Oh,
so I actually have games. I splurged a little bit because it's first paycheck, but I couldn't pass up the deals. My wallet got stabbed by Gaben and sucked whatever it had in it.
I almost got dragged into the Steam sale. I started looking at all the games, and I piled up, and I looked at the thing, and it was like $85, and I was like, I don't think I need $85 worth of games. Like,
how much are you getting for $85? Is it $200 worth of games for $85? Because you can't pass that up.
Oh,
that's a deal.
My Steam thing. Oh, I've got like 300 games. I'm pretty sure I've only played 50 of them and probably beat 5. And that realization, I was like, the only game I really had on there that I almost bought was Dark Souls 3. Everything else,
that'd be good.
Yeah, everything else I had were like bullet hells that were like half off from $5 or like $15 off 20 or 20%. I was like, that's really not I'm not spending a lot initially, so I don't need to splurge and spend $85 when I can just...
I had a few like that I cut off my list. I was like, it's only like $3 more that's on sale. Whatever, I'll get it later.
That's how it started, and I got to 85, and I was like, no, that is a cell phone bill at that point.
Supreme irony, my birthday was on June 30th, and I wanted to buy myself some games off of Steam, but going through my wish list, I couldn't really justify anything. I kind of wanted to get Rocket League, but I figured since like all the hype's already died down, probably not a whole lot of people playing now, so I didn't want to worry. But I found out that my dad had sent me a code for a Steam gift card for $20.
Aww.
But I've been having a problem recently with my Facebook where messages are going to my needs to be approved thing if I haven't had a conversation with them in a while. I don't know why. It's random. Like some of my Smasher friends, some of the UAT friends, and apparently family. Just randomly, I don't see the notification, and unless I go into my messages and look at like little drop-down list of needs approval, I won't see it. So today, I get a message from my grandma to check my messages, and I check them and see he got one from my dad, and he gave me a gift certificate for $20, but the sale's over now.
Aww.
So I'm like, well, I could spend the $20 on one game, but now I kind of just want to save it for Christmas, so I can buy like $31 games plus whatever I want to get for myself. From myself. But man.
Yeah. I was super frugal. The only reasonably big-ish priced game I got was I finally picked up Fallout 4 and been playing the crap out of that. The rest of them were basically older games that were like 80% off. I finally got Risk of Rain as well.
We need to
and
play
I'm bad at
that.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
we
game
can play that.
is so good.
That'd be great. I want to stream it. I'll be bad at it, but I'm probably better than
No,
most. That'll help my self-esteem.
A friend of mine here in Minneapolis wants to play it too, so we can get a 4-player co-op going on.
Awesome.
That game
That'd be
is
sweet.
that game is so good. It's
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the few roguelikes I really like.
Yeah, got that. Got Dark Souls 2. Speaking of games that kick my ass.
I got Dark Souls 2 also. Well, I had it like 5 years ago, and
I picked it. Like I said, I bought a whole bunch of older games for super cheap. So I got
yeah.
Risk of Rain, Dark Souls 2, Mass Effect 1 and 2, and Just Cause 1 and 2.
Oh, have fun with that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mass Effect series is, although it's dumb, you have to buy 3 from Origin.
Yeah, I was looking for a set, like a pack of 1, 2, and 3. And I was like, how much is that? And I was like, oh wait, they don't have 3 on Steam.
Yeah, because EA is dumb.
Yep.
But the good thing is that the EA sale is, I can't remember if it's before or after the Steam sale, and then Good Old Games. So it's like either E or Good Old Games, Steam, and then either whatever the other one who didn't have their sale is. They're all around the same time.
Yeah. So yeah, I might get that later. But yes, mostly lately has been Fallout 4.
Nice.
Like, I started playing it yesterday, and I have like 10.5 hours, so...
Good lord. Yeah, I bounced hard off that game. I played it and I was like, I can appreciate
You
it
were
for
a
what it
Bethesda
is.
virgin, so...
No, because I played Oblivion and
Oh, you did play those. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I played those.
it was just Fallout.
It was
you
just
hadn't played
Fallout.
more.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Fallout. I was just like, just I don't know what it was. I just couldn't get into it. Like, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I just couldn't get
Like
into
the
it.
hell out of it.
Yeah.
Did you play it at anyone else's house or anything before this? Like, did you make a character and play for a couple hours, or is this your first?
Who, me?
Derek.
Oh,
Derek.
Me, I have not touched 4 at all up to this point, so I am fresh into 4. Played the crap out of 3 in New Vegas, but
So, well, I know that, but how do you feel about the pacing at the beginning of the game? Because I thought it was really ridiculous how it's like 3 hours in, you've already fought a Deathclaw and gotten power armor, and I feel like after games take a ride on the excitement level. You go up a little, you dip a little, you go up a little.
Yeah.
I felt like doing that at the very beginning was such a high hill that you never quite get back to that build up, because now it's like, well, I'm 4 hours in the game and I've got power armor and some Deathclaw pieces. Like,
yeah.
trying to top that after the very beginning is just kind of hard.
You have to immediately go and find a power core somewhere, though, because you only
Yeah.
have one, and you're almost out of juice by the end of it. So it's sort of like, it's kind of like the intro to like Metroid Prime, where you have all the powers and then you lose them all. And it's like, go become awesome again is kind of your quest. Like, apparently I've got a kid somewhere or something, but more importantly, power. that kid's fine. He'll be all right. He's my kid. He'll be great.
Yeah, but you
But
also don't
power
kill
core.
Ridley at the very beginning either.
True.
You might fight
True.
him, but
Yeah.
they're like, all right, so you storm the building, you're killing the guys, or you're not killing the guys, depending on what you want to do. But then they're like, yeah, go up to the top, get this stuff. Here's the minigun, and
Yeah, I
you
was
get
gonna
a
say,
minigun.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the guy talk, and I'm like, there's some power armor on the roof. I'm like, power armor? Am I actually gonna get power armor? Otherwise, like once you turn that on, you can rip the minigun off the helicopter. I was like, what? You best not be lying to me, because you're talking some good shit right now.
It was all a trap. You go out on the
You're
roof,
ridiculous.
and they just beat you up.
Take your lunch
I was
money.
waiting for it. I was like, really? You can't actually give me a power armor and minigun. Okay, and now I'm gonna mow down all of these dudes, and then fuck Deathclaw. Jesus. And yeah, it was intense, but yeah, I've got it sitting there. I'm just sort of like polishing it and repairing it, and like, you've got like 20% battery. I gotta find you some more juice. It's also a little weird for me because between that and the story, like pushing a lot of Like, I know you've always got the main story, and it's a Bethesda game. You have to understand from a meta perspective, it's take it or leave it. But still, they like push a lot of character flavor on you. It's like, you used to be in the military, and you've got a son, and your wife is this, or your husband used to be in the military, and you're the wife, and you're going for a law degree. And I'm like, what? What if I'm like some sort of sneaky drug addict? Where's the sneaky drug addict? Like, or
Well,
like,
apparently you've never been around med students before.
yeah, like I don't know. It's just they're trying to like throw a whole bunch of flavor on you, and I'm like, no, I want the blank slate. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm supposed to be. Like New Vegas, it's like, you got shot in the head. Are you a man or a woman? Let's start there. That's your backstory. You got shot in the head. That is where it stops. So yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird, but I can also just, again, sort of pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Do what I did in Oblivion and save right before you leave the sewer when it asks you if you want to change all the stuff about your character. So you don't have to do the tutorial, like hour and a half tutorial every time you make a character, because I made like 30.
Where Captain Picard like guides you through the tunnels.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, yeah. So it's just like, make a new character, change everything.
Yeah. I recently resubscribed to World of Warcraft because the Legion expansion looks pretty good. Don't give me those eyes. The Legion expansion looks really good. So I was like, okay, Blizzard, I'll level up my characters to get to that point. And then I forgot that they had pet battles, which is like a ripoff of Pokemon. And I was like, oh my god, I am now doing this. And so I'm going around collecting all these little animals and things and just beating other... It's Pokemon in World of Warcraft, and it's really, really fun. And so my initial goal was trying to get to level 100, and I kind of fell by the wayside because I have to catch all these elementals and dragons and shit because it's awesome. So that has been enrapturing me for the past like week or so. And Eric's all like, I'm gonna divorce you if you lose your job and all you do is play World of Warcraft and you live in the basement. I'm like, that's not gonna happen. I've seen that before during the UAT day.
You don't have a basement.
Yeah, so that's what I've been up to.
Speaking of Pokemon, when I said,
oh
mostly
yeah,
all I've been up to has been Fallout 4. Last night, I installed Pokemon Go and caught a Reddit in my bed. And
I caught a Charmander in mine.
well, at the starter. I mean, I actually found a wild Rattata in my bed. We need to put some traps out for that shit. That is a problem. They're everywhere. No,
Nintendo's sneaking into your house. Miyamoto hiding under the bed with Pikachu.
But I've been Pokemon going places today, and I'm probably one of like 11 million people doing this now. But I've officially made Pokemon Go a verb. And it means to use Pokemon Go as an excuse to leave your home. And like I'm gonna Pokemon Go for a hike. I'm gonna Pokemon Go for the beach. I'm gonna Pokemon Go pick up the kids from daycare. You know, things you wouldn't normally actually leave your home to do, but you have Pokemon Go, so now there's a reason.
I'm seeing a mom get in her minivan, pull up to the daycare, fight a Pokemon, and then go home without grabbing the kids.
Come back home. Sweetie,
did you bring them back? Yeah, I got the Poliwhirl.
Yes.
It's funny,
Yeah.
at work, there's a Jimmy John's across the street, and that is apparently a Pokemon gym for some reason. And then,
Yeah, they didn't pick
and then,
They lucked out.
I know, and then my job itself, there's a plaque outside that is a, not a gym, the thing where you
Pokestop.
yeah, Pokestop. So I can go there every day and like get my shit there too. So that's pretty cool. And over here, like the servers are every time I try, it's like, oh, there's a Pidgey. Oh, lost connection. Our
servers are all on fire right now.
Yeah,
You can't.
so like I've been able to walk and see the Pokemon and see the gym, but I can't do anything there because it's like, oh, nope.
Yeah, most of the day was just a giant cock tease. It was like Pokemon nearby. There are 5 Eevees and you know, a couple of Pidgeys. There's a, you know, like it could just be like I expect it to just be like there's a Charizard. It's not gonna load for it. Just deal with it. There, you could if the servers worked, but no.
No.
Yeah, but I'm in, for those who don't know, I'm in middle of nowhere, Kansas right now. So I drove to one of the medium-sized-ish towns nearby and was wandering around there. And there's a fair amount of Pokemon in the town. I caught all 5 of the things available in the fields around our house. But when I got into town, the servers were dead by that point. Weirdly, this little town, it's got I don't know, probably like 1,100 people in it. They've got first of all, a shit ton of Pokestops because every church is a Pokestop.
Oh.
There's it's literally, no joke, like 4 or 5 churches in this town. So there's
you are
one
in
for all
Kansas,
the churches.
so
Library, yeah. He's got churches and liquor stores. That's what you have a town for. But they also have 2 gyms. I think gyms are reasonably common, mind you, but 1,100 or so people, there's 2 gyms. And the thing that threw me, even with all the server issues, there are apparently at least a few people in this little podunk Kansas town playing, because both taken. And earlier today, yellow team had one of them, and red team took it. And fucking red team's got a pincer on top of that bitch, and I don't know where they found a fucking pincer. Because I've got 6 Rattatas and a couple Pidgeys and a Venomat. So
yeah, all I have is a Charmander because every time I try to go find one, the fucking servers want to crash and shit. It's been obnoxious.
yeah, I'm waiting for them to fix it. But
Yeah.
So how does it work? Because I haven't tried it yet. I'm waiting for everything to blow over.
It is
short version.
Oh, go for it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna write it down quick. So it's not really like the Pokemon games. It is not battle centric at all. There is battling, but it is very watered down and is not at all the point of the game. It is about going out and catching and collecting Pokemon. Actual nitty gritty of what the game is. Regular mode, you'll see a Google Maps view from above. Very, very simplified and cartoony graphics. It'll label areas as basically just open area or water or forests, and it'll have all the roads there, and it'll have little squares for buildings. And you'll have your Pokemon avatar, your little character you make, walking there to represent where you are. And as you walk around, they'll walk around on the map. When a Pokemon's nearby, you have a little thing that'll tell you what types of Pokemon are in this area based on just where you are and what kind of terrain there is. Water Pokemon by the beach and stuff like that. Whenever you get near a randomly spawned Pokemon, it'll actually appear there and you can click on it. And the augmented reality part, besides it just using GPS for your location, comes in that if you have it activated, it'll use your phone's camera and show whatever you're looking at, and it'll put a Pokemon on the ground there. And it's actually pretty good about it. They're a little floaty and slidey, like you would expect, but it's still pretty sweet. There was a Rattata in my kitchen, and I showed my 8-year-old nephew, and he was all excited. It was awesome. And you basically you throw a Pokeball at it.
And you just catch it every time?
All the things I've found you do. I know there's harder stuff to catch.
Yeah.
I've been finding, trash Pokemon because I've just been wandering around catching whatever low-level stuff there is. But you have a bunch of Pokeballs. You can eventually get Great Balls later, which are for the more difficult stuff. It's a free game, and there's microtransactions. So items like Great Balls and the incense that give you more Pokemon encounters, that's the stuff you pay money for.
Okay.
But it's all about catching Pokemon. So, and like I said, different Pokemon will appear in different places. So, I've caught 4 different kinds of Pokemon, in our yard around our house. That's probably all the Pokemon that are available. In the town nearby, there's probably 6 or 8 different kinds of Pokemon. Right now, the game has the original 151 in it. They'll probably add more, but that's what's available. That's what's in the game at the moment. But yeah, you travel around different places. You go to and apparently, first there's some complaint some of the highest density areas are cities, which it makes sense from a practicality standpoint. But I was hoping it'd be you have a lot of Pokestops and gyms and stuff in cities, and then you go out places out in the wilderness to find a lot of Pokemon. There's only gonna be some there, but no, right, it's kind of an issue where in rural areas, especially in other countries, there are folks saying they're out in Poland and there isn't a Pokestop within 70 kilometers of them and shit like that.
The backbone of Pokemon Go was made off of Ingress. It's literally just off that, and so that's where all the Pokestops and things like that and gyms are built off of. And so, if it's not at Ingress, then it's probably going to show up in the game.
A lot of folks are speculating that this is going to improve over time because, honestly, the game did launch 2 weeks before they said it was going to.
Yeah,
which is impressive. And so, at least one of the devs has said he grew up in a rural area. There were issues with rural areas and ingress. He wanted to fix that in this game. So it's probably, people are thinking, going to be fixed. Right now they're like, we've got it, it'll work, let's send it out there. And, stress test with basically, which is what's going on, because the servers are on fire.
Plus, it's a free-to-play game, so there's really no harm in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's going to be demanding a refund right now, unless they just, hurled, $800 for an instance at it day one, which, again, if they fix the game in a week, then it's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You wander around and do stuff. I think it's pretty cool. It's the kind of thing you don't really just, sit and play. You basically leave it active in your pocket, and it'll vibrate when a Pokemon's nearby. So if you're going to go out somewhere, just have it on. You can also, the interactive part and the more kind of high-level stuff comes with the gyms. There are certain just locations that are gyms, and if it's empty, you can claim it. And once you I think it's level 5, you can start working with gyms. You also pick a team. There's 3 teams: red, blue, and yellow. And you'll claim the gym for your team, and then you and any other members of your team can put Pokemon in there. And enemy team members can come there and fight the gym, and basically when they defeat all the Pokemon that have been put in there, they can take it over. And then their team can start throwing Pokemon in there for their defense, and so that's how you battle over the gyms.
I'm gonna guess you can put up to 6 in there, or
I don't know what the cap is. I think it's 1 per person.
Yeah, it's 1 per person.
Okay.
So,
and the cool thing is that when you leave it, you actually leave it there, that it gets removed from you. But when that gym gets taken over, the Pokemon gets sent back to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I don't know how big I'll get into that. Apparently there's some folks, in the local gyms, so I'm able to go ahead on down there and smack those around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Again, especially if they do what a lot of people are hoping they'll do, which is make more rural areas have more Pokemon. I know that national parks and stuff already have a shit ton. So if you're going to a national park,
oh
you can
really?
Get your phone with you and Pokemon Go through Yosemite National Park and just get shit tons of
that's really cool.
Different kinds of Pokemon there.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. If you're a hiker, if you bike, shit like that. If you just do any kind of hobby where you move around outside a lot, or just go places.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go, have it in your pocket, it vibrates, you pop it open, see what's there. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually get started.
Yeah, I'm hoping they get servers stable soonish. I will report back in a couple of weeks on that.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get to the news items of the week. But before we do that, I want to plug some of our things here because I always forget to do that, and I'm checking my camera a lot. Sorry about that. If you have a Facebook, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Secret Cal Level Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We don't have a YouTube URL yet until we get 100 subscribes. Help us get to that goal. Just search for The Secret Cal Level Podcast and you'll find us. Follow us on Twitter at TSCL Podcast. Again, that's TSCL Podcast because The Secret Cal Level Podcast would not fit. Subscribe to our podcast in iTunes or your favorite podcast aggregate. Rate us on iTunes. We don't have any ratings just yet. Give us our first 5 star. Actually, I think we do have a rating. Someone
Really?
Yeah, someone told me. A friend from what is that city called? Not Grand Forks. Fargo. From Fargo. Fargo came down for Pride last weekend, I believe, and he said he gave us a 5-star rating. So thank you. I'll name you
whoever you are. You're awesome.
And we got a few more subscribers to the YouTube page, not the YouTube page, the Facebook group. So thanks for those likes, you new likers. And finally, if you have any questions, concerns, complaints, send us an email at thesecretcaliblepodcast@gmail.com. Before we go into this, I need some water because my throat is parched. So I will take a quick break and I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Intermission. I'll play some video games then. Oh. I don't have Pokemon Go yet.
I will check to see if the servers are still on fire. It's worth doing.
I did see plenty of Reddit posts about it.
There have been some great memes about the situations with the servers, people's experiences thus far. It's been pretty hilarious.
Lots of potato pictures.
I haven't actually seen any of those. It's been a lot of like Animu memes because Pokemon folks. But
Let me see if I can find it.
All right.
yeah, Pokemon Go subreddit. Got some good stuff.
Oh wait, there's a subreddit? Oh, there's a
There's a
subreddit for everything.
Literally everything.
I know. I'm dumb. All right.
Balls. I'm at my sister's place right now because she has internet that functions, and her even more podunk town has 2 gyms as well. And neither of them are claimed. I'm gonna own this little town with no other trainers in it. No one will rival me because they don't exist.
It'd be funny if like people in rural areas ended up being the top ranked because they could like just travel around all of these backwoods areas and be like, oh, well, okay, this little like shopping center has one. This over here, I can go there and get this one. It's like this one person owns like 7 gyms. Holy cow!
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if I had the time to. Only problem is they're all spread out because there's like all these little podunk towns with like 800 square miles of jack and shit between them. So
Oh, before we go into the news stories, Extra Life campaign, November 5th, 2016. Put it on your calendar. That is 4 months away, I think. Put it on your calendar, 24 hours. We got some prizes. I'm trying to get some prizes lined up for donations. Here in the next few weeks, I'll finally have a URL, so if you want to donate early, that'll be set up as well. More information as we get closer, of course. All right. Corey, do you want to go ahead and take us through our first news story of the week? Or no, was that Derek?
It was technically Derek's, but I mean, it's related to what I do.
Well, yeah.
So I don't know. We could double team this.
No, I don't want to do it. I'm catching a Pidgey.
Okay.
Hang on.
Well, I can see where this is going. All right. Well, Alienware.
No, the podcast. Yes.
Alienware sponsored a tournament at a Microsoft store where they were having all these different games, and it was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be a super serious thing, judging by what the people hosting the tournament said. They basically said we wanted to show a tournament, showcase all these games, and have them on systems and show off their capabilities. But it kind of didn't go how they wanted it to at all because the people running it didn't understand what it takes to run a tournament. On top of any kind of scheduling conflicts and the floor plans of the place that they had, the biggest problems were that they were running competitive PC Twitch-based shooting game on wireless internet.
The store's Wi-Fi.
The store's Wi-Fi, yeah.
Yeah,
Which was
not even like.
Yeah, it wasn't even just for them. Yeah, it was the same Wi-Fi that all the customers downstairs were also using to test out the PCs.
So, infrastructure was already against them. On top of that, they had the way it was sold was all wrong because if you usually have a sponsorship for a tournament, people take that seriously. It's not just like some little commercial. I don't even know what their point. It seems so conflicting how they would hype it up, but then not expect people to actually take it seriously. Because they said that they didn't have a qualifier for it, but then they had people like make plane ticket reservations to fly out there with their teams to participate in this game. So I just think between the people organizing it, those that wanted it to happen, and the people participating in it, nobody got what they wanted out of it. Nobody was able to be satisfied. Mm-hmm. And that was the takeaway I got from it.
I wanted to emphasize the tournament was sponsored by Alienware. It was actually run by a company called Esports Hero, and specifically the man on site heading the whole thing was the CEO and co-founder of Esports Hero, James Heldridge. So that's really who's responsible for this debacle. I'm sure Alienware didn't have much to do with it other than money.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So yeah. But yeah, this to me, yeah, there were a number of things. The people, just Esports Hero just didn't know how to do shit. There's straight up incompetence there, and that is, unsavory to a certain extent. You are a company with esports in your name, literally. You should probably understand how to run a tournament. They didn't really do anything right, but that would be forgivable to a certain extent. It's like, yeah, these guys suck, so don't expect their tournaments to be good if you feel like going to them. That's basically would be my takeaway on that. It probably wouldn't be a story, basically.
Right.
It's not a good thing, but ignorance is one thing, but actual malice or complete selfishness is entirely another thing. And I think this is there's a fair bit from both categories there. Ignorance and the actual just douchebaggery, because Esports Hero, there were several things. The biggest and baddest was really the unfairness. They had invited some professional Overwatch players, and one in particular, a guy who goes by the name of Steel, and at the venue there were most of the computers were on the store's wireless. There were 3 computers that were on wired LAN connection. It was for the first round or two just kind of random who got those, which is still not really fair at all.
Right, so it puts everyone on an uneven playing field at that point.
Yeah, just even if you flip a coin to see who gets the unfair advantage, it's still an unfair advantage. If 3 of your because basically the wireless was unplayable. It was super lag. People were rubber banding. According to the reports I heard, I found originally the article that another friend of mine had linked from GoBoiano, GoBoiano.com. I went on Reddit to get some corroborating stories on this, and found several different sources on Reddit also basically backing up all the same thing. So I feel pretty confident that the vast majority of this is not just bias. A lot of these are pretty straightforward facts that have been corroborated from multiple sources. So, so basically, according to all these accounts, from both people there watching and from actual players, the connection was absolutely horrendously bad, just terrible rubber banding. People basically on their screen seeing themselves get a triple kill with their ult, and then a couple seconds later realizing they were dead the whole time. Shit like that.
Yeah. There's one instance where a player disconnected, so it was essentially 5v4, and they refused to remake and refused to stop the match, and so the team was forced to.
They didn't do any restarts. They just said deal with it, basically. And that was the other thing. They had it was a horrible setup, and they basically didn't give 2 shits. Mr. Heldridge was reported again from multiple sources telling folks it's not that bad. You can still deal with it. Just play through it. Don't worry about it. Shit like that. Whenever players were disconnecting, they'd have the update to Windows 10 message pop up on their screen, full screen in the middle of a match. And
they also said they didn't supply them with headphones.
Oh yeah, with headphones.
They said that they were going to supply them with headphones, and then on top of that, set up the screen. From a competitor's standpoint, a lot of stuff like that was no fly, no matter what. But even from a organizer standpoint, they're going to have to communicate with each other. That's part of the game. It's teamwork. And if you're not going to separate them into different rooms, then how are you going to stop them from hearing each other when they call things out? That's
Yeah.
like the most simple logistics thing about competitive
And honestly,
play.
from what I heard, certain seats, because they just had them sit like at the tables in the store on wooden stools. So
Oh,
there'd be
Yeah.
there'd be like 4 computers around a table with stools there, and in certain seats you could see opponents' screens. Um,
Yeah.
and they were just like, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. Was basically the response. And then from what I heard, like the Heldridge, the CEO, was mostly the one just like pushing, like basically telling people to just go with all this stupid shit. And a lot of the folks in the store were like, no, like they would basically like begrudgingly admit like, no, there's no way this network can handle this. We can't make it work. This network isn't capable of running this many computers. It just won't do it. And
Because that wasn't the only game there. They were
Yeah.
also playing other games on the same on the
yeah.
same network.
Mm-hmm.
But worse than all of this, worse than like the horrible incompetence and the just like pretending like you're not incompetent from Heldridge and being really like condescending to players constantly, was the outright just sleaziness of how they made the games unfair. So there were the 3 machines that were wired, and it was 6v6 games. So any given match, half of one team would have computers that effectively that worked because the wireless connection was so bad that it was basically unplayable. There was this Twitch streamer, pro gamer, Steel, who had been invited, who, according to several reports, showed up late after registration, but was let in anyway.
Yep.
And there's some contention on that, but I heard multiple sources say that he wasn't there until well after the tournament started, and it started like 3 hours late. Again, more incompetence. The scheduling was absolutely atrocious, but yeah, a preferential treatment there from the beginning. His team got the side with the 3 wired computers. He was on one of the wired computers, and because he kept winning his matches, they got to stay in their seats. So they kept it as long as they kept winning. Big surprise, they won all their matches.
Right.
Furthermore, I mean, he's a pro gamer. He was kind of called in for this. The thing that makes it really seem like it was intentional and not just random luck that he got the benefit of those is he was basically the only one who was allowed to stream it, and it was being streamed on his channel. He was getting basically the esports hero invited him there and kind of agreed to basically have them plug each other. He also got to basically win for free because he got preferential treatment throughout the entire tournament. They got the machines that worked. No one ever got to restart matches if they disconnected against him. It was just kind of rushed through, and he was the only one who got like streaming of it.
Why would you need that?
What's
It
that?
just seems like why would you want to stream that? Why would you want to stream yourself beating people up on terrible connections? That doesn't even seem like people would want to watch it.
Apparently he enjoys this a lot because it seemed like he and his I can't really not use the term cronies because that's really what this situation is. It's like fucking Team Rocket rolling in here. 10-year-olds. Like he and his cronies seem to really be into that sort of thing and seem to be why they came, because throughout the whole time he was being extremely disrespectful. There again, I get reports from multiple players and people at the venue of him yelling insults at opponents and like celebrating when they'd basically disconnect and he'd kill them, screaming "fuck you, get wrecked,"
Right.
stall loser, shit like that. Just being the typical internet 13-year-old. He also apparently has been previously banned from Counter-Strike for match rigging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also, history of similar offenses. It was all kinds of sleazy and just. It's not necessarily a great topic here. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't really bring this up because I thought there'd be a lot of good discussion, because it's pretty cut and dry that this is a big bag of steamy shit.
Yeah.
I was more just wanting to really, it's kind of a PSA more than anything from my standpoint. Don't deal with Esports Hero, and fuck Steel. Really is my main message here. Just wanted to let people know this guy's a douchebag, and this other guy who's the CEO of an esports company is an incompetent douchebag.
Mhm.
So
That's actually, it's really good advice, but it sucks that doesn't really get out to enough people. We
Yeah.
see it a lot. I wouldn't say a lot, but we see it in the Smash community too, where people are like, okay, I see these tournaments going on. I see these tournament organizers bringing hundreds of people together. You get sponsorships, people throw money in, and then you have a big event and you get popular and stuff. So it's a way to get money, it's a way to get attention if you can get these big events together. A lot of people's egos are bigger than their capabilities, and they make gigantic failures of events that do nothing to help anyone. And it happens a lot. MLG's done it on accident a couple times where they've just had people say, I want to do a tournament for these games, but their gross incompetence, unwillingness to listen to the communities that are involved in those games, not to mention the places where the venue's being held may have some rules or may not actually have electrical outlets in the rooms that you're trying to rent out. And they don't think about those things because they don't travel and go on site in the buildings and walk them around.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of ways that an event can go wrong. And only experienced organizers really can account for all those things, because until you kind of step in the shit, you might not know the shit is there.
Yeah.
So it's happened before. It happened in Arizona just 2 years ago, where we had this big shot from New York come out here and say, hey, I've got all these millions of dollars. I want to start sponsoring you guys and holding events. And then he held 2 events, and both of them were huge flops. Because one, similarly, he did a thing out of a game, GameWorks, and the internet couldn't hold it. And they were trying to stream Smash 4, Melee, and Project Melee all at the same time, and instead of any of them working, they all failed. And the only reason the stream was saved at all was people used their phones as an
Oh yeah.
at really low quality. Just little things like that. They don't take into consideration, and it ruins the entire experience for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do a little research. If you're going to travel for a tournament, make sure that the tournament you're going to is worth it.
Yeah, honestly, if you want to hear read through the whole kind of disgusting story, we'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say avoid having anything to do with any of those assholes.
Yeah, and the reporter actually wondered how Blizzard could allow someone to do this to their IP, pretty much. And Blizzard, while I love Blizzard, they do a really shitty job when it comes to tournaments with their own things. They wanted to be kind of grassroots, which I get, but Hearthstone went through this. The first year of Hearthstone was really bad. Like, there were people running obviously rigged events and rigged tournament styles and things like that, and which caused a lot of people to end up going to BlizzCon that probably didn't deserve to go or get tournament points, things like that. And they reeled it in. They were like, okay, you can do a grassroots thing, but A, B, C, and D have to be met, and you have to confirm that with us before we do it. Heroes of the Storm ran did the same thing as well. And I mean, Blizzard had StarCraft, but they don't do a lot of esports. They only recently got into the esports business with Heroes of the Storm, so they got a lot of growing to do as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Blizzard's also done StarCraft for a long time. Because, they, in original StarCraft, not even StarCraft.
Yeah, that's right, too, yeah.
You go back to Korea and all the problems they had where Koreans were broadcasting StarCraft games and having huge events about it. And then Blizzard wanted to step in and be like, hey, that's our IP, you owe us money. And that's when I think they really got into it. But honestly, only from the producer standpoint. Not like they intentionally made games to focus on being esports.
Right. Yeah, and even then, it's funny because with Heroes, with a lot of things, Blizzard kind of when it comes to tournaments, things like that, they're kind of the overhead. Except when it comes to Korea and China and that region, they kind of, because they've done this before. They've done it with StarCraft. Like esports is a huge thing over there. They're leaps and bounds above everybody else. So they're like, yeah, you got it. Just do whatever and send your best over to us. We'll take it from there. And well, actually, with StarCraft, there was a big. I think last year there was a huge crackdown in China for match fixing. Like a lot of big people, like Life, for example. I don't know who that guy is, but he's apparently really big, and he got mixed up in match fixing as well out there. So it's, I'm sure Blizzard is accustomed to it by this point, but I don't know if they have any plans to like stop it.
Yeah.
I think we should segue that straight into the CS, the Counter-Strike Go.
All right,
debacle.
that sounds good.
So we could just go from one sleazy train to another.
Yeah. Keep the same shit taste in your mouth while we're at it.
No time for palate cleansing here.
All right.
So I've done a lot of talking. Someone else do a lot of talking.
Am I dive in on that?
I don't even know how to parse this. Okay, so this comes from H3H3 Productions. So a little backstory: Counter-Strike Global Offense, or CS:GO, is a big thing on Steam. Big first-person shooter, and you can spend real money on keys to open chests, and you get random items like random guns, random skins, paints, and things like that. It's mostly cosmetic.
Yeah.
And the person, I forget who the guy is in the video. You have to forgive me, but he makes the comparison that the way that it's shown in CS:GO is like a slot machine, where you put your money in and a little spinner goes around and oh yay or boo or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's going on. So what you can do is you can take your skin or whatever you got, and you can turn around and sell it for real life money, just like Steam trading cards. You can sell it through Steam, trade them, do whatever, but you can get real money out of this. And a lot of people are comparing that to gambling, where you're spending money and you have a chance to get something of higher monetary value than what you put in. Even though it's not physical money, you can still get money back from what you get. So, in and of itself, right.
Yeah, like casinos have chips. The chips aren't cash, but they're cash, and this is really the same thing. You're gambling to get a thing worth money. So, it's a really, really flimsy loophole in my mind.
And I would kind of want to put an addendum to this, because this isn't really an indictment of Counter-Strike, because you see this mechanic in a lot of other games. It's just that it's a very gambling-centric mechanic that are cropping up in a lot of games now.
It is gambling. It preys on gambling, mentality. You get gambling addiction for it. Lots of games use it for that reason. It's like trading cards. You get a booster pack. You pay some amount. A small-ish amount of money to get a random chance at stuff, and you will. Psychologists will tell you'll consistently spend a lot more for the chance to get the things you want than you will just shell out for that thing you want.
Right.
So that's exactly what it is.
Yep, and Valve and most other like cell phone games and things like that can get away with this because it's not physical tender, or it's not real money. It is an item, and that can be sold for money, but it's not money. That's how they get around the gambling thing. All right, so you put your money in, you spin the wheel, and you get a bunch of things, and you get this rare skin or whatever. You can make even more money if you go to CS:GO Lotto.
Or many other sites like it.
Right. So here's where it gets interesting. So, two YouTubers, let me find the names really quick, T. Martin and Syndicate, they started going to a site called CS:GO Lotto. And so they're like, okay, we're going to post this skin, and they throw it in. And I had to watch it because I still don't quite understand what's going on. This is what I can gather from it. So everyone throws their skins and items into a large pool. And your odds of winning are determined by how expensive your items are on the market at the time. And so everyone throws their items in, everyone gets a percentage, a big wheel spins, and whoever lands on it gets everything in the pool.
Yep.
So they're posting videos on here saying, "Oh, well, I got this skin. Let's see what happens." And they spin, and oh, I made $30. Or they go in and say, "I'm going to spend $10. And I'm going to go do 20. Then I'm going to do 30 and go up to 100." And they got plenty of videos saying, "Oh, we're winning all this money. You guys should try this too. Go to cslotto.com. Bing." And there are a couple videos where they're like, "Oh yeah, the CS:GO people asked us. They sponsored this video. Here I go. Let me spend this money." It turns out that both T. Martin and Syndicate own CS:GO Lotto.
Yep.
And so
No disclosure.
no disclosure at all, none whatsoever. And they've been doing this for I don't know how long, a pretty long time before they finally got caught up into it. So now multiple questions start to arise, like how the wins that you were getting off your own website, are they legitimate? Like there's just a ton, like, and the fact that you're playing, that's like if an owner of a casino goes into his casino and wins money, that tempts everyone else to then join the casino because they see him winning money, and then they want to try that as well. Like,
Not to mention just the fact that CS:GO Lotto takes a small percentage of the money as like a fee or whatever.
I think it's
so
8%.
That means,
I think close to that amount.
He owns the company, then as long as he participates, he's making money.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to participate to make money, but he's essentially in a situation different from everyone else that's participating, where he knows he can put money in without having to lose as much as other people do because he still benefits from it.
Yep.
And I think that's
assuming it's not rigged to guarantee his wins.
Yeah, that's making the assumption with benefit of the doubt in his favor.
Yeah.
It is still immoral.
Yeah.
And ethical, however you want to put it. I'm not sure if it's illegal, but it definitely feels unfair.
It is usually illegal it is illegal in real gambling, and this is probably real gambling in the eyes of the law. May or may not be.
Well, he's getting away with it because it's not real money. It's things that are worth money. That's the only reason why. I mean, they can get him for the non-disclosure because that is illegal.
Yeah,
but
that's an FTC violation.
Yeah. So.
Go for it.
Well, I was going to comment. The H3H3 Productions video does a really good job of explaining all this. They also give a shout out to the person who did all the research.
Oh yeah,
they kind of followed up on and did their piece on the research they did. Honor the Cell is the individual who did all this research. They definitely give them their props because this probably took a lot of work because this is apparently buried pretty well. You want to get all the details. H3H3 Productions has a good video on it. Honor the Cell has their original video showing all their research.
Mm-hmm.
Check those out. But short version, I guess there's basically two topics here because this one actually I think has some good discussion in it.
Yeah.
First is not really if, but how unethical is what T. Martin and Syndicate were doing. And in what ways, but also I'd like to just talk a little bit about the video game gambling thing. I think that's a bit more of a larger discussion. So,
because I think the first game I saw it in was TF2, because TF2 started doing things with crates, and you could buy keys and open the crates, and I, like many other people like me, were just like, oh, you have to spend money on it. Well, fuck that. And now I just have an inventory full of crates, and I don't care. But I guess a lot of people like those things, and they'll open up the crates, or I guess they just have money to blow on it. And you get some occasionally rare stuff, otherwise you get some duplicate items. But it is, I guess, like just dropping a coin in a slot machine. There's really not that much of a difference between it, aside from instead of cherries and bar and whatever, you have weapons and skins.
Yeah.
That's really the only difference.
Mm-hmm. And it is gambling because whether it fits through the weird ass loopholes from the point of view of the law, to me, the part that most importantly makes it gambling is the fact that any psychologist will tell you the reason this is an effective mechanic in games is because it is gambling. The Skinner box is a real thing. For those guys who don't realize, like a Skinner box, there's one of the things that came out of it. It was tests with basically feedback and reward for animals, and they found that if you have a button in a cage and the monkey pushes the button and they get food every time, push the button, get food, push the button, get food. They'll push the button when they're hungry, eat until they're full, and then stop. If you give a monkey a button where when they push it, they may or may not get food, they will push the button all day, almost non-stop, way past the point they're completely full, because they might get more, and they might not get more. And when they are hungry, they might not get the food they need, so they're gonna keep pushing it now. And it is this weird. It just triggers this little feedback loop in your head, and it works very much the same way on people. Anyone who's addicted to gambling, it's the same thing. Like, and I see it in a ton of games because I've, being a poor gamer, I've played a whole shitload of free app games, and lots of them use this. It is almost a standard. Like, it's basically a multiplier on your freemium model. Like if you have some RPG where you build a team of characters, and it's like Pokemon, where some are better than others. Some are more rare than others. Getting like trading card style rarities in there. Obviously, you can have people pay have the game give you random stuff where you earn particular ones through playing the game, or you can pay money to get the stuff you want. What's way better than that is to have you pay money to get random characters, because people will just shell out huge amounts of money, sometimes just thousands of dollars at a time. Like, trading cards are one of the best examples. Hearthstone, you hear about people who, new set comes out and they throw literally $3,000 at Hearthstone. And because they have that compulsion. Like, that's the extreme cases, but plenty of folks will definitely put in more money than normally would. And I find it really sleazy. I really don't like it. A lot of games do it, and a lot of games I like do it. Like, I like TF2 a lot, and it runs on that. Hearthstone's a solid game. Lots of trading card games, but that's why I got out of trading cards, because you have to shell out money constantly. And I just don't like it. It's so effective, and as much as I like the gaming industry, it is still an industry, and I'm a socialist, so I can't fully love anything where your main drive is make money, and this is a case where main drive is make money, and this makes you money, hand over fist, and it's why everyone does it. It's really, the only downside is that it is morally repugnant, which doesn't really matter a whole lot in the business world. Yeah. Unfortunately. So that, it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I understand why it exists. I don't like it. I think we're all in agreement that we don't necessarily like it, but I understand.
Yeah.
I understand why it's there, and for now, it seems to be relegated to like iPhone games or like cell phone games, and
basically free to play games.
Yeah, free to play games in general, and I keep going back and forth, like the TF2 thing, for example. Like, I wouldn't pay to open up a crate, but if they offered, like, play 100 matches or something, and you may get a random one, then I'm fine with that. If I can spend, like, money once and get everything, that's fine. But I mean, I don't know. It's. I understand. Like I said, I understand why it's there. I don't necessarily like it, as long as it doesn't start bleeding into non-free-to-play games, then whatever. Like, I mean, a free-to-play game has to make money, and that clearly makes money, as repugnant as and amoral as it is. But I mean, they've tried other ways to make money, and those don't work very well. Or this works, 100 times better.
Yeah, this is.
No,
I was gonna say, like, on your point, like, free to play games have to make money, and I I've said it many times before. I don't have a whole lot of discretionary income to throw at video games, so I enjoy the existence and the current like extremely commonness of free to play games, and not just like little app games and shit like that. Like I can play TF2 and I can play League of Legends and lots of stuff like that. Full AAA titles for free because they have a backbone of a free to play model that works. And so I like free-to-play games existing. I like good games being able to be free-to-play because it lets me play them, when in a lot of cases, or at least for a lot of my life, I wouldn't have been able to. But saying that, like, this is okay because, yeah, there's these negative parts, but you get all this good out of it. Like, the negative parts, like, all the good is lots of people who wouldn't be able to afford to shell out $60 to play League of Legends can play League of Legends anyway. It's awesome. Lots and lots and lots of people get to play League of Legends without having to put any cash into it at all. That's great. LoL's not a good example. I was going to use that as the counter example, like TF2, for say, or let's say TF2, because TF2 is a free-to-play game and I like it a lot. Or lots of other games like it. So lots of folks can play those games without having to shell out any money. And the way they do make money is some people, frankly, get roped into the gambling portion of it and put money in, effectively paying the way for the rest of us. A small portion of that small portion get addicted to it and just basically get lots of money sucked out of them, and it kind of ruins them. And like, I'm less okay with that now, because now in my head it feels kind of similar to, like, I don't have enough money to buy this game, to pay $60 to play TF2, so I like the fact that I can play it for free because other people get financially ruined for me. It's like saying, well, I don't have enough money to pay, like, $30 for a t-shirt, so I'm glad that there are some people in Taiwan working in horrible conditions for almost no money, so I can buy it for 10.
Right.
I'm not really okay with that. I don't like sacrificing a few to better the majority. Like, I don't want to pariah some gamers so the rest of us can free to play. Like, It doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way. Case in point, League of Legends. League of Legends doesn't use gambling, I don't think, in any part of its monetary system. You just buy skins and heroes and stuff. You just go into the shop, you pay money for the thing you want. And they're doing perfectly fucking fine, last I checked. I believe they've made money every year since they started existing, at least after the initial years. I'm pretty sure from year one they made money, but definitely the last few years, I think they're doing fine paying their bills. And lots and lots of people play it. So
I hope that more games in the future take that MOBA model, because the model's really good. Like, here are some characters. Excuse me. Here's some characters. You can get them for free. It'll take you 4 times as long than if you actually purchase them, but hey, you can get them for free. Or, you got all the characters for free? Okay, well, here's an awesome costume. Here's, it changes their moveset or their voice thing. Or here, $5 here, $10 there. That's fine. And I wish, or I hope, more games start to take that approach than the mobile approach. And I think more AAA games, at least in the console and PC space, are starting to lean in that direction.
I want to talk about the principle of the gambling in the games, because to me the big problem with it has more to do with when the product can have real life influence. Like, we probably wouldn't care at all about, like, Super Mario 2. At the end of it, you can spend a coin to get extra lives, and that's essentially a lottery game because it's just a roulette. But no one cares, because extra lives in a game that's a single player experience doesn't matter. That gambling
and you're only spending in currency.
Yeah, and I've played 2 different card games recently where there are no actual trading mechanics in it. Anything that you get in the game, you just hold on to yourself and it's tethered to your account. You could buy packs or you could give packs to other people, but essentially you cannot trade the cards themselves. And that way, you can also limit the real world application of those cards. You won't get people trading real life money for cards, and you can stave that off. So I think the biggest problem with these gambling mechanics is in a system where you can trade the outcome of the gambling. And if that's the case, do you believe that we should enforce some kind of gambling age restriction or something like that? Because I agree that kids probably don't fully understand the gravity of gambling, not only because they're inexperienced with handling money, because at that age you probably haven't worked a job for an extended period of time and understand the value of a dollar, but also that addictive, like, I think we all understand the addictive quality of gaming itself, even without gambling. Like Skinner boxes, yeah, you'll play all day on an MMO. Why'd you do that? Well, I wanted to get more experience so I could get higher level, so I can beat higher level things, so I can get more experience, so I can get higher level, and you just continue on that spiral like a motherfucking rocket on a merry-go-round. But giving that to kids, and then also tethering that to real-life money seems terrifying, and I would not be surprised if some kind of legislation comes out of this. Not necessarily from this specific situation, maybe it'll take a couple more things like it, but I think we may have to end up going, okay, if your game has trading mechanics and also gambling mechanics in it, you need to put an age limit on it.
Yep.
Well then, what's to... How would you check for that age limit, though?
How do you do it for online gambling? How do you do it for those other ones? Like, they had to shut down online gambling for similar reasons.
Yeah, usually I believe it was you have to put in credit card information. And yeah, you can steal your parents' credit card information, but then they're going into, above and beyond means to circumvent your reasonable barrier. So, they had to break the law to circumvent your barrier, and I think that's basically good enough on certain people's parts. But yeah, if it's going to be there, it needs to be regulated. Because to your question, is it gambling? Is it the same thing? To me, if cash can be put in, and then you have a chance to get something of a variable value that can be converted to cash, then it is gambling. Like, it's exactly the same as me buying a bunch of poker chips, playing blackjack, and then turning those poker chips back into cash. It's the same thing. Like the skins, the poker chips, the cards. Yeah. Doesn't matter what it turns into in the middle. It turns into ones and zeros. Doesn't mean it's not gambling. Like, cash goes through some sort of system of chance and turns into, in the end result, a certain amount of cash, and that is gambling. And so, if it isn't okay to have people under the age of 18 going to a casino and gamble, then it's not okay to have people under the age of 18 go on to an app game and gamble, because it is the same thing.
So we're saying if cash can be converted to X and then converted out of cash in some gambling means, we're going to say no. So what if you can convert cash into whatever currency is in the game and you gamble with that? Like, what if that does not have the ability to convert back into cash?
If there doesn't,
my first response on that is basically, if it stays in the game after it becomes cash, you're basically in a micropay system, and it's not really any. It's not. It is like one step more toward the League of Legends model, where you turn cash into something in the game. This, you're turning cash into something random in the game, and that is still gambling. You're still using real money, so I'd say it's still bad enough. I would
say the caveat for me is there a trading system in the game? Because that is the fundamental purpose of currency, is to have value and to share it with other people that also have things of value to share with you. If you put a mechanic into the game that is gambling, but there's no way to trade the outcomes, there's no way to convert it back into money or give it to someone else, then I don't see that same level of harm coming out of it as otherwise. So if you have some kind of alternative currency that people put money into, get this, and then go gamble with it, then that doesn't matter. The relevant part is, can you trade with other people the outcomes of what you gamble? Because that is where the problems come from.
Okay, so let's take GameWorks for example, which is something else now. I don't remember what. Anyway, so you go in, you get tokens, you give them to your kid, they go play games, convert that into tickets. Those tickets then become a prize that can conceivably be turned back into money. Is that gambling?
Kind of.
Yeah, that seems like it.
Just like game. I mean, yeah, it pretty much is. I was actually going to jump back. I was where Corey is, where if it goes, like I said before, money into something else gets gambled, turns into something else and back into money, then it is exactly definitively gambling. There is no difference. And I still feel that way, but I don't think that's the only thing that's wrong. Because, as Corey said, she felt there wasn't the same level of potential for harm, and I agree. This is not the same level because, with the ability to turn what you gamble in the game back into cash, there is a big motivator for outside parties to scam.
Right.
And younger people are, at risk, at a greater risk to be scammed. They're a prime target for scammers. They're easy prey. That's not all right. That said, though, there isn't a lack of what I would consider significant potential for harm if it stays in game. If you take cash and gamble and basically gamble it to get in game stuff, I think there's still potential for plenty of harm because to you the thing you're getting still has value. So you are still getting the same feedback loop of the gambling addiction, like the monkey turning the button presses into food. Cash into food, cash into skins, cash into characters in the game, cards, whatever. That is gambling. Whether it's not this, it doesn't hit the same definition of gambling for the law, so I don't know about that.
Right.
But I still feel sleazy about it. Again, card games like Hearthstone and even physical card games like Magic and whatnot are gambling. To me, and there's an obvious issue there. Plenty of people have spent plenty of money on card games. Even other ones.
Well, I think I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think
no, go for it.
One of the major differences is that, for instance, if I want to make a Magic deck, I can go online, look at all the cards I want, and I can find those cards, buying them individually, circumventing the entire, buying decks and packs and things like that. Will it cost more money? Yes. Maybe. Yeah, well, that's the gambling portion.
You can buy 8 cases of of the set you want and not get that rare.
Exactly.
The third-party market fixes an inherent flaw with the gaming type, which is a thing in favor of that game if you're willing to go through that third-party means. I'm more talking about just the morality of that mechanic in game.
Okay.
Another example that seems more innocuous, or at least just not as obvious. I feel like we're all just sort of but they're trading card games. Everyone knows that they're created by Satan to rip money out of your ass as fast as possible. So, what are you going on about? Everyone just sort of accepts that they're horrible, and we're all just okay with it for some reason. But more innocuous things.
You're victim blaming gamblers.
Yeah.
This person has an addictive personality type, and you're well, they're the ones that decided to go to the casino.
Yeah.
They're the ones that decided to buy the ticket.
Yeah,
exactly. Some more innocuous or less obvious example is there are plenty of app games that work. They're basically almost the exact same game as this. This is just one of the bigger, more popular ones, and one that I played for a while. It was a free app game called Summoner's War. It is, again, a pretty standard genre of app game where you make a team of characters. It's kind of like Pokemon, except the characters are either people or monsters or whatever. It's an RPG type thing, but you get the characters randomly. You get enough in-game currency to basically buy a random character of rarity 3 to 5 star. 5 star being stupid rare. They were eventually, it's a Chinese company, they were eventually forced to disclose the actual chances of getting various rarities because they hadn't for many years, and even China was that's not okay. You got to tell people that. because they're spending like $3,000 trying to get a 5-star and not getting one, and
Yeah.
it turns out it's like 0.001% chance to get the best ones.
What?
Yeah.
It's like 5 stars like 0.001% chance, 4 stars like 0.25% chance, and like 0.12% chance, something like that, and then the rest is 3-star. So yeah, it's
Wow.
bad. But yeah, basically you can scrape up, in the crystals, the good currency, because there's always like the shit currency that just comes flowing out, and use that for whatever, who cares. And then the good currency you should get occasionally in the game, or you can shell out cash for, and that's what you use to get more characters, and it's always random, which which one you'll get and what rarity they'll be. And there are folks who in Summoner's War, because I was playing Summoner's War fairly hardcore for a while. I had a work-at-home job and needed something to do while I tried to stay awake. And so I played a lot of Summoner's War while I was at work. And so, unlike the Summoner's War subreddit and stuff, you'd hear about people, there would inevitably, like, at least once a week, be a story about someone with a gambling addiction. You'd be like, yeah, I spent $800, $1,000, $3,000 on Summoner's War, and I lost it all. I feel horrible, et cetera, and
Yeah.
like it is gambling. Like that's where it comes into me, the potential for harm. It's still there, like, and that's where it feels really sleazy to me. Summoner's War was worse because the conversion rate of cash to crystals was really terrible, and the chances of getting anything good was also really terrible. They were just milking it as hard as they can, but I think
Yeah.
the system has inherent flaws. I feel it feels unethical to me at a base level, and I just really don't like it. Like, I work on I feel a somewhat different kind of moral standpoint on things. It's like I don't think it's okay if you choose to put yourself into this inherently shitty situation that they've set up for you, because their whole point is to try and ensnare you in that shitty situation.
Right.
Like, their intent from the beginning is to get you to make bad decisions they know are terrible for you for their own gain, and that to me is an inherently unethical thing. But that's kind of, for some people, a more gray area. Like, for some people that's just economics. That's just how capitalism works. You need to get people to give you money they shouldn't in order for you to get by, and I don't like that. But I'm a damn dirty hippie, so.
I'm still trying to figure out if I would consider GameWorks to be gambling then. Because,
Kinda.
no, I mean, honestly, because I wanted to justify it to myself and be like, well, almost, if not every game in a GameWorks is a skill-based game, where you have even the one that's just like a little circle going around and you try to stop it on the jackpot. That's still a skill-based game. I can't think of one that's basically just throw your tokens in and occasionally you'll get more tokens out. But if I'm going to define gambling that way, then neither is blackjack, poker, any of those card games where you can have a skilled individual place out on the upper end of the bell curve because of their skill, their ability to influence. Yet I would still call that gambling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really conflicted over that, because I think we've instilled gambling into kids from like before memory. I've been going to Chuck E. Cheese's and like miniature golf places and playing essentially gambling simulators.
I was gonna say, to throw another example and to pull it the rest of the way into real life instead of just games. Carnival games. They're games. They're skill based, but they're rigged to be really, really hard, and you have to pay cash to play them, and you play them to try and get the prize. Because let's face it, no one's going to sit there and shell out any amount of money to try and throw rings on bottles. Like, I can tip over a dumpster and play that game in the alley. Like, that is not a game I'm going to pay cash to play. You're paying cash to try and get the giant bear. That's gambling. That to me, I think, is another like important part that takes this kind of fuzzy definition of gambling and kind of tips the pointer more toward the gambling than the not gambling. Is, are you doing it just for the reward? Because that kind of is gambling.
Yeah.
It's less a game. And I mean, again, and this is also where you get the blurry line between gambling and games. Like, lots of games have elements of chance in them, and and they all have a reward for success. So you couldn't have a court, or lawyers make a law about this regarding games, because they'd be
Right.
like, well, there's random bullet spread, and if you get the headshot, you kill them in one shot, and you paid cash to play the game in the first, to play Modern Warfare, so Modern Warfare is a gambling game, 18 plus only, and
Yeah.
21 plus only, and this is that's not what we're talking about here.
This is secretly my plot to get all elements of random removed from games, so that competitive games are always purely skill. No crit rockets ever. I mean, what he said.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird thing to kind of wrap your head around, because I mean, Corey mentioned it. We've been around gambling since we were little with Chuck E. Cheese and GameWorks and things like that, and it's just ingrained. And yeah, we know. We're like, yeah, I'm not going to spend money on that, because the odds of me winning something are going to be like, I went to BLFC and I knew good and damn well that if I was going to throw down $100, I'd leave $100 poorer. Like, I went in knowing that. Did I have fun gambling? Yeah, I had fun gambling, and I stopped when I was, spent all my money, and I was good. Some of my other friends, they were just like, they were rich and shit, leaving $500 poor, and I'm like, that's my room money, right? But
Yeah.
and I don't think banning gambling type games solves the issue.
No.
I think going more of an education route, like telling people, first off, telling people, hey, this is how gambling works. These are your potential odds. Do you know what your odds are? Can you influence those odds? How much money are you going to put in? Is it worth, educate the people on how the system works inside and out.
We undermine it by teaching statistics in second grade.
yeah, so you go through and teach them this is what happens, and yeah, you'll get maybe 80% of the 90% of the people, and then there's that 10% that will still fall in there, and then there you go. Then you focus on them and say, okay, hey, you have a problem. Like, now we can start getting you help. And I think that's the best route versus trying to stifle it isn't going to help. I think just teaching people will do loads more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the figuring out the clear definition of what is and isn't gambling, from basically a legalese kind of standpoint. It's very, very fuzzy. It's very gray. To me, when I get on ethical questions like this, what I come back to is the intent of the acting party. The people designing the game, are they trying to make a situation where they're going to try and convince you to do something that they know is bad for you for their own gain?
Well,
to me, that is where it turns into something unethical. You are trying to take advantage of someone. That's what you're setting out to do.
Yes, but then you get into a weird situation where everybody is doing that. That's everyone's MO.
I know. That's where
that's super broad at that point.
I know. That's where I get back to just,
Yeah. I think
change the world.
Yeah, I think the definition right now is decent. It's just that there are some loopholes, definitely with CS:GO Lotto. I'm not going to argue that, but I think trying to squash that loophole just makes things a lot worse overall than what they are currently. And yeah, people get caught in the crossfire, which sucks, but it could be far worse than it is currently.
Yep.
I think it speaks to a lot of the problems that we have with consumerism in our age. Because there's so many problems that we could solve if we only boycotted all the bad stuff. If we were just everyone, let's all agree, let's not participate in this bullshit, and it'll go away. But the problem is that we can't all agree on stuff, and there's always going to be people that are going to abuse and be abused, and it's hard to really stop that.
Every one of the three of us is currently wearing something made in a sweatshop. We've all eaten something that was shipped in from somewhere where it was probably farmed with child labor. The real problem is it's really hard to boycott all that stuff because it's so permeated, and it's kind of the same way in the game industry. It's rough.
Yeah.
Like, we could talk about pre-orders. None of us,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think any of us are for pre-orders, right?
No.
We all
Yeah, no, not really.
recognize
Not
they
majority
don't
of it.
really serve a benefit anymore. We have digital distribution. The means, the way pre-orders exist at all right now is because of exclusive content. That is the only reason, and it will continue to be like that because people want exclusive content.
Mm-hmm.
If we all agreed that we aren't going to stand for that shit anymore, then it would no longer be an economical business like proposition to be like,
Mhm.
well, let's just put all this stuff in for pre-orders. But that's not going to happen because there's always going to be people that are like, yes, I will throw down more
Yep.
money so that I can get this stuff.
Yep.
Yes, there's going to be people that are like, well, I know I have a random chance of getting something, but I want to throw down money on that random chance to get
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
As long as that's true, I don't see an end to this unless, like, literally legislation were to be written down. But as we talked about,
Yeah.
that's going to be
That's
super
gonna be
difficult,
bad.
if possible at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. I think that's a good place to end. It is super late. It's like 11:30
Yeah.
here. We did have one more topic, but I think we'll just bump that to the next episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get on to that next week.
Cool. So did you guys have anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say before we leave?
Nope. Just I'll see you guys at Evo. Hopefully, I'll make at least one game on stream.
Good luck. When is that?
It's gonna be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next weekend. The
Next weekend. Okay.
15th, 16th, and 17th.
Okay. Cool. I'll keep an eye out.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything you want to say, Derek?
Nothing much.
Cool. All right. Well, we do thank you for listening and watching to episode 25 of the Secret Cal Level podcast. You guys have a nice night.
Bye.
Bye, folks.